Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video we're going to be diving into Keystone.js. So I've been getting a lot of requests for this, and I try to fulfill as many requests as I can. Plus it's something that I've been wanting to get into. So Keystone is a content management system and web application platform built on Node.js, and it uses Express and MongoDB. So it uses a yeoman generator that we can use for rapid development and prototyping, and it can give us things like a blog, a photo gallery, a contact form. You don't have to set these things up, but I'm going to just to show you what's available. Now, if I was to just show you how to generate an application, you wouldn't learn too much from that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a completely new section to the application. We're going to add a store or a product section. I'm not going to add purchase and checkout functionality because that's just too much at this point. I honestly don't know enough about Keystone to do that. But what we'll do is we'll add a product section to the admin side so that we can manage products. We'll be able to add images, a description, quantities, things like that. We'll be able to display them on the front end on a list page, and we'll be able to also create a details page with a link to the contact form, and then we'll add a product inquiry option on the contact form. Alright, so hopefully you enjoy this. I think Keystone is one of the best Node.js platforms out right now. It's very expandable and easy to work with, so let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing you want to do before we start is get Node.js installed on your system and get MongoDB installed locally. Okay, so I have videos showing you how to do that if you don't know how to do that, but you definitely want those two things up and running or this won't work. Okay, so I'm at keystonejs.com, and I'm going to just click on Get Started, and that's going to basically just give us the initial commands we need to install the generator and then create a project. Now it's not here, but you want to install the Yo generator or the yeoman scaffolding tool. So to do that, I'm on Linux, so I'm going to use sudo, and then we're going to say npm install -g yo, and that's going to install the yeoman scaffolding tool. Alright, so now that that's all set, we can now install the Keystone generator. So we're going to say npm install, or actually I need to do sudo npm install -g, and then generator -keystone. Okay, that'll install the generator globally. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to create a project folder. So I'm going to say make directory, and we're going to call this project Acme. And then we'll cd into Acme, and then we want to generate our application with Yo Keystone. Okay, and this can take a little bit. Well, actually, we have to answer some questions first. So the name of our project, we'll say Acme. Now it asks us which template engine we want to use. You can use Jade, Nunchucks, Twig, or Handlebars. I'm going to choose Handlebars, which is HBS. And I'm using Handlebars because that's what I'm the most familiar with. I do know Jade, but I really don't like it. I'd rather use standard HTML than Jade syntax. Now the preprocessor by default uses less, but I prefer Sass, so I'm going to say Sass. Now, would you like to include a blog? We'll say yes. Image gallery, yes. Contact form, yes. And then it asks us what we want to call the user model. So I'm just going to leave the default of user and click enter. And then you need to add an email address. This will actually be your admin username. So I'm going to say traversymedia@gmail.com. And then your password. And then it asks us if we want to include gulp or grunt, which are task runners. I'm going to choose to use gulp. And then would you like to create a new directory for your project? I'm going to say no because I want it created in the Acme folder. And also, would you like to include email configuration? I'm going to say no. Now with images, you have the option to use Cloudinary. If you want to do that, you can put in your URL. I'm just going to click enter. And then, would you like to include extra comments in your code? I'm going to say yes, because that could help us out. Alright, now this takes a little bit. It takes, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll be back when it's done. Alright, so that only took about 2 minutes or so. Now, It tells us to run node keystone to start our project, so let's do that. And our project has started on port 3000, so let's go to localhost 3000, and this is what the front end looks like. Okay, so you can see it uses Twitter Bootstrap by default, and basically have a nav bar, and then we have this jumbotron with some information, tells us our username, password. Obviously you want to get rid of this before you go live. And then we have our blog link, so we don't have any posts, but we have a blog with category functionality. We have an image gallery. There's no images, but we have one. And then we have a contact form where inquiries will go and they'll be listed in the admin area for us to see. And I believe it'll send an email if you configure your email. Alright, so let's click on sign in, and this is the backend login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Alright, so this is the back end. It's pretty simple. We just have different sections here. We have our posts, our post categories, galleries, our inquiries from our contact form, and our users. And we have the same menu up here as well. So before we create our product section, let's just test some of this functionality out. So let's actually add a post category. So post category, we'll say Node.js and create. And let's create another one. We'll say React, create. Okay, so now we'll go to posts and say create post. And let's call this, we'll just say my first blog post and create. So it takes us to a screen like this, which is pretty nice. We have different states for our posts. So the default is draft, but we can choose published or archived. We can choose the author, which I'm going to select the only one, which is the admin user. We can choose to upload an image. So I'm going to click that, and I have this Node.js image here I'm going to upload. And content brief. I'm just going to grab some sample content from Lorem Ipsum. So I'll just generate a couple paragraphs, and let's just grab this. Okay, we'll just go and paste that in here. And paste it in here. This is the brief version, so I'm going to take some of it out. And then this is the extended. Now categories, we'll choose Node.js and click save. And that's it, we created a blog post. So let's actually set it to published and then save. Okay, so now if we go back to posts, you'll see we have my first blog post. And if we go to the front end, let's just go to localhost 3000. And we go to blog, you'll see we have our first post. Okay, so this is the list page, and then we have the actual post. Okay, so pretty cool. I don't believe there's no comment functionality by default. You'd have to do that yourself. Okay, but we can filter by category over here. Okay, which is pretty nice. So it's not a a full-featured blog, but it's pretty nice for not even typing any code at all. It was just given to us. All right, then we have the gallery. So if we go to galleries and create, let's say we'll just call it tech, and then we can choose the date, we can choose the image. I'll just grab that node image. Oh, that's the hero image. I guess that's like the cover. And then we can select other images. Okay, so if we click save, that creates the gallery. So let's go to the front end, and now we have our gallery. Not much functionality here. There's no light box or anything. You'd have to program that yourself. Okay, so it's just kind of a base functionality that we'd have to work off of. And then contact. So if we were to fill this out, we'll say John Doe. Test. Last time I did this, when I sent the server, okay, so that worked. I think last time it messed up because I think I chose to have email configuration when I didn't have it actually configured, so it messed things up, but that worked fine. So if we go to inquiries, you'll see John Doe. Okay, so that gives us his message and information. So that's the default functionality. Oh, the users. So we can add users here if we want. You can choose if they can access the back end or not as well. So now what I want to do is jump into the code, and we're going to add a product section to our website. Alright guys, so I have Atom open. That's what I'm using for a text editor. You guys can obviously use whatever you'd like. And I'm going to add the project folder. So I want the Acme folder. And this is what the structure looks like. Okay, so we have our package.json file with all the dependencies. Now you don't see Express here in our Mongo driver because that's handled with Keystone. Alright, but then we have Lodash, we have our handlebars template engine, Cloudinary, Moment for dealing with times and dates, Node SAS, and then down here we have the dev dependencies, which we're using Gulp for our task runner and ESLint. Okay, so Keystone.js is the main configuration file for Keystone, has our template directories, things like that. We're not going to have to touch anything in here. And then we have up here our models folder. This is where you want to create all the models. So you can see we have examples from the post and from the gallery. We're going to create a product model. Okay, and then down here we have our routes. So our index.js is where we can set the actual route right here, app.get, and then point to a view. And then in the routes folder we have a views folder where we have each route. This is basically like the controller, okay, if you're familiar with MVC. This is where we can actually call our queries, or call the model to create our queries. You can see here we're getting the gallery model, and we're calling find, and then we're sorting it. And then we're going to render a view. In this case, it's rendering the gallery view, which if we go down here into templates and then views, you'll see gallery.hbs. This is the handlebars page, okay? And basically we did our query, and we can now access that data in here with this galleries. So basically we're saying each galleries, we're looping through each one and then displaying the name, the hero image, and then we're looping through the images. Okay, so pretty simple. That's really the main three parts, is the model, and then the routes, and the route views, or the view controller, I guess it's what it is, kind of. And then our templates, okay? And then we also have this helpers folder where we have different helpers, and we're actually going to add a post URL helper as well. I'm sorry, a product URL helper. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we'll do is create our model. So we're going to say new file, and we're going to say product, product.js. Okay, we want to keep our model singular. And what we want to do is bring in Keystone. So we'll say var Keystone and require it. Okay, sorry for the banging upstairs if you guys can hear that. I asked them to be quiet, but no one listens to me in this house. So let's say Keystone dot field dot types. Okay, so basically we have a whole bunch of types we can use for our fields. And there's a really good documentation page if we go here and then get started. Okay, so this basically tells us how to create our project from scratch if we wanted to. It tells us how to create a model. This is what we're doing right now. Okay, you can see we bring in types, and then what we want to do is call new keystone.list, and then the name of our model. Okay, so we're going to say var product, and we're going to set that equal to new keystone.list, and then new keystone list and product. Okay, so did exactly what they do here, and then we're going to also pass in some options here. So it's going to take a second parameter, and we're going to open up some curly braces, and we want to add map. So we're going to say map name is going to be title. So title is basically the main field, and then we can also include options for singular. Okay, so singular version of our model should be product, and then plural should be products. Okay, and then we want to set an auto key. Okay. So auto key, if we search for that, oh, I guess this isn't the page I was looking for. Let's see. Let's say docs database auto key. Okay, so auto key adds a plugin to the list that automatically generates a key for each document when it's saved. Okay, it's based on the value of another field or path. So auto key paths are automatically indexed. Basically, what we want is we want to create a slug, and we want to use that. We're going to use that in our URLs. So, for instance, if we want to see the iPad product, we want it to go to product/iPad and use that as a slug. So we're going to say path slug, and let's say we want that from the title. Okay, we want the slug based on the title, and we also want it to be unique. So we're going to say unique true. There shouldn't be two of the same slugs. Okay, so that pretty much creates our list or our product model. And now what we want to do is add the fields we want to use. So we can say product.add, and in here we're going to put our fields. So obviously we want title, and that's going to have a type of string, type string, and let's say required true. Okay, we want it to be required. Next thing we'll have is a price, and we're going to set price to have the type of number. We also want a quantity, so let's set quantity. That'll also be a number. And description. Now for description, I actually want to use an HTML field, and I want to have an editor, the WYSIWYG editor. So we're going to say type is going to be from types, which we imported above, and we want the HTML type. All right, and then we're going to say WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. And we're going to set that to true. And we can also set the height of the editor. Let's set that to 300. All right, so next thing is going to be the image. Now, when you're working with images, we're going to use the Cloudinary type. Even though we're not using Cloudinary, that's just what the type is for some reason. So we're going to say type dot Cloudinary image. I think that should be good. Okay, and then finally we'll have a publish date. Okay, so publish date, and we'll set that type to date, and then we want to set a default, and we're going to set that to date.now. Okay, because we want that to just use the current time and date. All right, I spelled that wrong. That shouldn't have an L. Just Cloudinary image. So that's it for our fields. Now the last thing we want to do is register our model. So we're going to say product.register, and that should do it. So let's save it. And the next thing we're going to do is go to our view controller. Let me make this bigger. Is go to routes and then views, and we're going to create in here. Basically, we're going to have two files because we want product and products. Okay, because we're going to have two different views. So let's create one called products, products.js, and then we're also going to create product.js. Okay, so let's start with products. So we're going to bring in Keystone. And then what we're going to do is say exports. Exports equals module dot exports equals function. Okay, because we want this to be available outside of this file. And then that's going to take request and response. And in here, let's create a variable called view, and we're going to set that to a new Keystone dot view. Okay, so in here we also want to pass in the request and response object. Alright, and then we're going to create a variable called locals and set that to response.locals. So basically our global variables. Okay, now we want to set our locals, and we're going to set a section. Okay, so let's say locals.section, and I'm going to set it to store. And it usually, what am I doing? Store. So it uses the section to do the, let's see, let's go to the front end. It uses the section to do the active class for the nav bar. So we want to set this and the product.js view controller. We want to set them to store. And we're going to have the menu item say store as well. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to load our products. So we're going to say, we're going to take that view and we're going to call query. And let's pass in here products. And then we want to pass in our model. So Keystone.list. And we want to grab our product model, and then call .model and then .find. Okay, and that's going to grab all of our products. And then the last thing we want to do is just render our view. So view.render, and we're going to render a view called products. Okay, and that's it. So let's save that. Now to set the route, we're going to go to routes and then index.js, and we're going to go down here, and let's put this here. So we'll say app.get, and it's going to be /products, and we want that to go to routes.views.products, just like that. Okay, we'll save that, and then I believe we have to add something to middleware.js as well. Yeah, so right here, let's. This is actually the menu item, so let's go ahead and paste that in, and label will be store, and then the key will be store, and then the href is going to be products. Okay, now this key store is going to connect it to this right here, this section, and that's how the active class in the Bootstrap navbar works as well. Okay, so we did that, and now what we want to do is create our template for products. So in templates views, we're going to create a new file called products.hbs. Okay, for handlebars. And for now, let's just say products and save. So I want to see if this works. What we'll do, is we have to actually restart the server. So Control C and then node Keystone. Okay, looks like we're getting an error. Type is not defined. Alright, so let's go to our model. And let's see, did I do this right? Keystone.field.types. Oh, right here, this should be types. Alright, let's try that. Okay, so server's running. If we reload the back end, now we have products. Okay, if we look at the front end, we have a store. Okay, now that is not supposed to happen. Keylist model find is not a function. Alright, so let's go to our products view. I just call it a view controller. I know that's not what it's called, but that's pretty much what it is. Let's see. So it's looking at this line here. And the issue is model should not have parentheses. Alright, so let's save that. And let's see, do I have to restart this? model.find. Yeah, we have to restart the server. Alright, so let's try it again. Store. And there we go. We're loading up our products template. So that's good. And then if we go in the back end and click on products, we get no products found, and we can now create them. Cool. So let's actually do that. We'll create a product. And let's say we want to add the iPhone 7. Create. And you can see we have our fields. So price, we'll say $299.99. We'll say we have 100 of them. Description, I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, it's just description I got from the Apple website. And then I'm going to upload an image. So I have this iPhone image. And the publish date is going to be set to now. And then we're going to save. Okay, so it says your changes has been saved. And now if we go to products, there it is, our iPhone 7. So let's create one more product. We'll add the iPad Air. So price, we'll say $6.99. Quantity, let's say we have 50. Description, let's paste that in. Whoop, that's formatted. You can also view the source code and use that as well. And let's upload an image and save. Okay, so now we have our products. And now we want to display these on the front end. Okay, right here. So we're going to go to, let's see, we're going to go to our handlebars template. So products.hps. And we're using Bootstrap, so let's add a container. And we're going to have an H1. We'll say products. Okay, and then let's do a row. And this is going to be, let's just do a 12 column. So it'll reach all the way across. We'll say call MD12 and call LG12. And if you don't know Bootstrap, these are just some predefined classes for the grid. And let's see, now we're going to create a row again. And basically what I want to do is I want to have each product in a 4-column div. Okay, so we want to do an each loop to loop through the product. So we can put a number sign and we'll say each products. And then that's going to end down here. So for each one we want a div with the class of call MD4 and call LG4. And let's put an H2. Okay, so this will have a link to the details page, which we haven't set up yet. We want to put the title here, so we can use the triple curly braces and say title. So let's just try that, see if it works. Okay, there we go. iPhone 7, iPad Air, and then underneath that we want to put the image. So let's first check to see if there is an image. So we can say if image. Let's put an image tag with a source attribute, and the source is going to go, I'm going to do 3 curly braces and say cloudinary URL image, and we can set let's set the width. Actually, I don't think we need that. Let's just do crop equals fit. And let's also give it a class of thumbnail, which is a Bootstrap class. Okay, so we'll save. Okay, so we do want to set a width. Let's say width. You could do this in your CSS if you want. width 160, height 160. Let's try that. Yeah, that's what I have. I guess that'll do. Alright, so if you want to mess with the styling, you can do that. That's fine. But I'm just going to leave it like that. So we have our listing page. Now we want the individual product page. So we're going to use the same model. We have one model for both. But we do need to create, in our routes views, we have our product.js. So let's work on this now. I'm going to copy what we have in products.js and put it in product.js. Alright, and then we want to, let's see, this is going to be the same, the section is going to be the same, it's going to be in the store section. Now, we're going to change, this query is going to work a little different, so we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to say view.on, view.on init. So when this view initializes, we're going to run this function. Okay, and this function will take a parameter of next, and then we're going to create a variable for our query. So we'll say varq, and let's set that to keystone.list product.model. And we want to call, instead of find, we're going to say find1. Alright, and then in here, we'll pass in some curly braces, and we want to say slug for locals.filters.product. Okay, now this filters, we want to set this up here. We want to let the system know that this is part of the products. Alright, so we're going to say locals.filters and set that to an object, and then just say product, set that to request.params.product, and then we're just going to set another locals variable called data and set that to an object with our products, which is going to be an empty array. Alright, and then we want to be able to basically click on this and have it go to /products/ and then the slug, which in this case would be iPad Air, just formatted differently, formatted for a URL. So that's our query, and then we want to execute the query, so we'll say q.exec and pass in a function. Okay, so this function will give us an error if there is one, and then a result. Okay, and then what we want to do is put that result into the data.product. So locals.data.product, and we're going to fill that with the result we get. And then we'll just call next. Okay, which it'll just proceed to do whatever's next. And then we just want to change the view to render the product view. So let's save that. Now we need to add a route for this, so let's go to routes and then index.js, and let's go right here, and I'll just copy this. So this is going to be product / and then we want to do ID like that. I'm sorry, not ID, product. Okay, so this product, this is basically a placeholder for whatever the slug is. And then if we go back and look at what we just did, we're getting that from this request params product. So if you were to put :ID there, you would do request.params.id. Alright, so that's how that works. And you want to match that to the slug. Alright, so make sure you save that. Actually, we need to change this to product for the view. And then go ahead and save that. Then what we want to do is create inside the template views folder, we want to create a view for the single product. Okay, so we'll call this product.hbs. And for now, let's just put in product and save. Now, we need this to go to that page. And if we go to, let's see, products, we want it to go here in this link. Now, there's actually a helper for this for the other resources. If we go into views, templates, views, helpers, index.js, and I'm just going to search for a URL. And let's see, it's going to be, where is it? Right here. You'll see that there's this helper called post URL, page URL, category URL, and basically it goes to the resource and then the slug. So I'm going to actually create a helper for the product. So let's copy this and let's put in here product URL, and then we'll change this to product slug, and we want this to go to products/product slug. Alright, and let's just change this comment, and we'll save that. Then let's go back here, and in this link we want to call that product URL, so we'll put our double curly brace and product URL and pass in slug. Okay, so let's save that, and we're going to have to restart the server. Okay, let's see. So it's going to the right place. Products to iPhone 7. Let's see what this says. Local is not defined, and that's in view product. Let's see. Yep, this should be locals with an S. Okay, so let's try it again. And there we go. So it's going to product. Now we just need to add the content to that handlebars template. So let's go to product HBS. And we're just going to throw in a div with the class of container. Oh, I cannot spell. Okay, and let's put in, let's see, what do I want to put in? Put in a row, and we're going to do a 12 column div, right? Is that what I want? Yeah. Call MD12, call LG12. Okay, and in here I'm actually going to use an article tag. Okay, HTML5 tag. And I want to put a link to go back to the products. So let's say href, and this is going to go to /products. And let's put in a symbol here. We'll say ampersand LARR, which will give us an arrow, and we'll say back to products. Okay, and then under that, let's put an HR, and then we're going to put in a header. And in the header, we'll put an H1, and we want the title. Now for this, we're actually going to do data.product.title, and save. And there we go, iPhone 7, click on iPad Air, there we go. So under the header, we're going to put in another row, and basically I want to have two 6 column divs. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and then this side's going to be the image. So first thing we'll do is check for the image. So if, and it's going to be data.image, I'm sorry, data.product.image. And if there is one, we'll display it. So source is going to be Cloudinary URL data.product.image, and let's just do crop equals fit. Okay, and let's give it a class of image responsive. Alright, now on this side, in this 6-column div, we're going to put the information. So I'm going to put this in a UL right here and say class list group. And then we'll put in an li with the class of list group item. And this is going to be the price. Put in some strong tags here. And let's say price. And then we'll do data.product.price. Okay, not Bruce. And then I'm just going to copy this li. And then this is going to be the quantity. Okay, and then underneath that we'll do a div, and I'm going to give this a class of well. And then here we want the description. So data.product.description. And then finally I just want a link right here. Give it a class of btn, btn success, and btn block. And this is actually going to go to the contact page. Okay, so we'll say ask about this product. And let's save it, take a look. There we go, there's our product page. Notice that the store is also highlighted up here as active because this and this page are both in the store section. So when we go to the contact page, I just want to add an extra select option here to ask about a product. For that, you'd go into, I think it's in the model, and then in inquiry.js, and then we just want to add to this array right here. We'll give it a value of product. We'll say ask about product, or a product. Okay, so you have to restart the server if you edit the model. So now we have ask about a product. Alright, so we have successfully added an entire resource to Keystone. And you could do this with anything. If it was a to-do list or a music gallery, albums, movies, something like that, you can do absolutely anything, and you can have this admin area for it as well. So it's pretty nice. Now, last thing I want to do is on the front end, I want to change this page here. I just want to get rid of like the login info and all that stuff. So that would be under templates, views, and then index. And let's see, I'm going to get rid of everything below that paragraph inside of the Jumbotron. And then under the Jumbotron, let's do div class row. Okay, and then we're going to do div class call md4 and call lg4. And I'm just going to grab some dummy text. Actually, you know what? I can just use the plugin here. So if we say, actually, let's put an h3 And here I'm just going to put lorem ipsum, and then we'll do a paragraph, and I'll say lorem tab, and that gives us a whole bunch of sample content. And just want to get rid of some of it though. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this 4-column div, and we'll paste 2 more in and save, reload, and there's our home page. Alright, so you can see we have a lot of functionality here for such a little amount of code. Alright, now I might plan on doing a video where we build from absolute scratch, so that maybe you can get a little more familiar with the files and the file structure and the syntax and all that. So I may do that, but I just wanted to start with something simple, and I also didn't want to just do, show you how to generate it. Like a lot of videos will just show you how to generate it and go through the back end. I wanted to show you how we could actually add something to it. So basically, you could add any resource. You just want to add your model, your view model or view controller, whatever you want to call this, and then your template view. Okay, so those 3 things is what you want to do when you want to add pretty much any kind of functionality with your Keystone app. All right, so that's going to be it for me for this video, guys. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like or a comment or whatever you can do is fine. All right, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.